What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who video. Today I'm going to be ranking all of Series 7's episodes from worst to best. This series was broadcast over 2 years with two distinctive halves, and I think that's one of the reasons it wasn't great. It also didn't help that a lot of the episodes were crap. Remember that this is my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Anyway, let's get started. Number 13. Nightmare in Silver. So we start this off with my least favourite Cyberman story of all time. The issues with this one are all over the place. For a start, Artie and Angie, the two kids Clara looks after, are the most annoying child actors you'll ever see. They are literally there just because Clara made the Doctor take them on a trip, but apart from that have no real purpose. The Doctor also comes off a bit stale in this episode, and weirdly, it's likely to do with Matt's performance. He gets a piece of cyber technology attached to his head which gives him a split personality as a cyber leader. This is a cool concept, but the scenes in which we see the planet talking are poorly made, and Matt Smith's performance is not different enough from his performance as the Doctor. This is also the episode where the new design Cybermen are introduced, and I don't like them either. They look alright, but the fact that they can move like they're in the Matrix and fly completely changes what a Cyberman is, a slow, lumbering metal man. This is not a good episode. Number 12. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. From the title alone, this episode is just stupid. It's a story about the Doctor getting his companions and a couple of random historical figures together to save a ship full of dinosaurs. Most of the episode is spent running around looking at these dinosaurs play fetch and lick Rory's dad's face. When we finally get to the main villain of Solomon, we get two comic relief robots who aren't funny, a bunch of talking, and then a twist that I saw coming from a mile away. This episode is just so bland and is a bore to sit through. The historical figures we get in Queen Nefertiti and John Riddell are no good either. They are both over-sexualized and completely unnecessary characters. If they weren't in the story, I bet barely anything, if anything at all substantial, would have changed. The scenes in the engine room were also stupid, as it was just a way for them to get pterodactyls and that bloody beach in the story. This one ain't good. Number 11. The Power of Three. I used to hate this one more than Dinosaurs, but certain components have made me like it more, but it's still crap. A bunch of black cubes fall out of the sky and appear to do nothing. A year goes by and then suddenly they start killing people in many different ways, giving people heart attacks, having spikes shoot out of them, releasing toxic gas. This is a great concept, and I love how the Doctor has to be patient, but he can't. The story trundles along at a fairly slow pace in my opinion, until the resolution hits. Some guy who looks like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars appears, and it turns out he made all this happen. It's revealed that he's a hologram and the Doctor doesn't know what to do to stop this cube invasion. Then, however, he waves his sonic screwdriver around a bit and bam, the Earth is saved. This was such a rushed and lazy resolution to the problem, and it made a boring episode even more boring. Number 10. Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. This is yet another boring and also quite a stupid story. The TARDIS gets taken into a salvage ship, and when the Doctor goes to investigate, Clara gets lost inside. The Doctor, along with the men who brought the TARDIS on board the ship, go looking for Clara in the depths of the time machine. The monster in this one is this weird molten humanoid creature that turns out to be two of the brothers after they were with the Eye of Harmony too long. Don't worry, I don't understand it either. The Doctor and Clara find themselves in the TARDIS engine room, which is just a bunch of shattered glass and random objects floating around a bad CGI background. They solve the problem the TARDIS was having by jumping to their deaths, which puts them back in the console room safe in space again. The episode is just the definition of filler, and the bad effects didn't do it any justice either. Number 9. Asylum of the Daleks. This is the first story in the series and it's kinda strange. The Doctor is sent by the Daleks to disable a force field on their Asylum planet so they can destroy it. They are given bracelets to stop them being converted into weird Dalek things due to the defense system and are shot at the planet. The first issue arises when we see how silly these mutated humans look. They have eye stalks poking out of their heads and just look stupid. We then find out that Amy and Rory got a divorce in the time we haven't seen them. This was the most unnecessary plot point, and within 10 minutes was addressed and resolved anyway. They hear Oswin Oswald through the comms, who says she's been hiding on the planet for a year. At the end, it's revealed that Oswin is actually a Dalek, so she can't be saved, but she lowers the force field anyway and the others get away. This apparently made the Daleks forget who the Doctor is too. This episode was pretty strange for a Dalek story, and the classic Daleks, which were hyped up, served little to no purpose. Number 8. Hyde. Speaking of bad CGI effects, Hyde is next. Now this story is actually alright, but it has the problem of some bad plot points, a bad monster, and all round just being forgettable. I almost forgot this episode existed before looking at my Series 7 DVD. It's about a psychic woman, Emma, who is investigating a ghost in a mansion. The Doctor finds out that it isn't a ghost, but actually another woman who is trapped in a pocket dimension. He creates a device which makes the pocket dimension open up for him to go inside, but gets trapped in there. Clara then apparently tells the TARDIS to go and save him, and that works. I mean, I know the TARDIS is sentient, moment, but really? Then he just grabs onto the TARDIS exterior and arrives back with the others in the mansion. How the hell did he do this? It's pretty ridiculous. Oh, and the CGI comes in when he finds out there's a monster in the mansion that's trying to get to its mate in the pocket dimension, but he briefly goes back to drop it off. Needless to say, I'm glad it didn't get much screen time. Number 7. The Bells of St. John. This is the first episode of Series 7B, and in my opinion it's just okay. It's the first time we see the Clara who would go travelling with the Doctor, but sadly, she's the worst version. The episode centres around Miss Hislett and her employees who upload people's souls to a database in order to supposedly preserve humanity. It's later found out that the Great Intelligence is actually behind the whole scheme. I find it strange that they brought the Great Intelligence back after them appearing in the previous Christmas special, but oh well. After people are converted, their faces get put onto these spoonhead robots which look a bit crap, so that doesn't interest me either. There are also a couple of silly parts like the Doctor and Clara driving up the Shard on a motorbike and then running through a plummeting plane. Apart from those things, this episode isn't too bad and I'd happily watch it, but it's not the one that particularly grabs my attention and interests me a lot. Number 6. The Rings of Akhaten. Now this is an episode that has some really great moments, but the story itself is rather lacking. The plot is about a group of planets whose inhabitants look up to the old god, who they believe started the universe and life itself. The Doctor finds out that it's actually a parasite of memories and sentiment. Clara finds a little girl who is running away from the people that are trying to make her sacrifice to the god. Eventually, the Doctor gives the parasite all of his memories, and Clara gives it the leaf that was revealed to be what caused her parents to meet, which causes the parasite to be defeated, and the girl survives. This was an amazing speech from the Doctor, and the girl singing in the background went with it so well. Throughout the episode, however, we get some backstory on Clara, and that just drags it back a bit and makes it so that the main plot can't be too detailed. I quite like this story for the speech mainly, it's just a shame the plot is rather weak. Number 5. Cold War. We get to see Mark Gatiss' contribution to the series, and it's actually one of his better scripts. It was the return of the Ice Warriors, who we hadn't seen in almost 40 years. The premise of the story is that the Doctor and Clara land in a Russian submarine, and it turns out that they have frozen Ice Warrior Skaldak on board. Skaldak thaws out, and after getting chained up and believing no other Ice Warriors are left, declares war. He goes around the submarine killing people until Clara convinces him otherwise, and his species come in a ship to retrieve him. This was also the first time we get to see an Ice Warrior out of its armour. I thought it was pretty cool, however there would be no point in doing it again. This was a decent story altogether, but I'd still only call it average. It has a couple of moments with Clara that build her up to be the I'm super important person she becomes, but apart from that, this episode is alright. Number 4. The Angels Take Manhattan. This is the final story for Amy and Rory, and it's quite enjoyable. The team land in Central Park, and before long, Rory gets touched by a weeping angel. He's sent back to New York, 1938, so the Doctor and Amy go after him. They find River Song along the way, but Rory also stumbles across an older, dying version of himself. The Angels have created a hotel in order to keep their victims and maintain a constant power source. I didn't completely understand this, but I'll go with it. After a while, they find out Rory must die and create a paradox in order to survive, so him and Amy jump off the building. They appear in a graveyard where all appears to be well until Rory gets taken again, but this time, the place he has taken is time-locked. Okay? Amy realizes the only way to save him is to get touched by the angel herself, so she does, leaving the Doctor. This episode was great throughout, but the part with the Statue of Liberty being an angel and a couple of plot holes did ruin it a bit. Number 3. The Crimson Horror. This is an episode which I think is quite underrated. It's about a town called Sweetville where bodies are being found completely red, poisoned with the venom of an ancient leech. The Doctor gets poisoned with this venom but manages to stay alive because it's only lethal to humans, however he can't move his muscles. Jenny, Vastra and Strax eventually save the Doctor, and they soon find out that Miss Gillyflower is behind all of this. She has a leech called Mr. Sweet attached to her chest, and she's been using him to poison people and make a rocket that will explode and preserve humanity. Miss Gillyflower and Mr. Sweet come to their demise when her daughter finds out she tested the poison on her and made her blind. I thought this was a pretty good way to end it after we were wondering what her daughter was going through. Altogether, this is an enjoyable story apart from a few pretty silly parts. Number 2. A Town Called Mercy. This is another episode which seems to get overlooked a lot. The TARDIS lands in a western town in 1870, and it turns out that the town is being tormented by the Gunslinger, a cyborg with a giant gun for an arm. It's revealed that the town's doctor, Jex, is an alien who experimented on his own kind to make these cyborgs for war, and the Gunslinger is getting revenge for what he did. The Doctor had a moment where he threatened to kill Jax, which I thought was really good and a different side of the Doctor. A lot of people didn't seem to like this because they said it was out of character. Eventually, the Doctor decides to plan for Jax to escape, but he ends up sacrificing himself so no more people have to die. I thought this was a good arc for his character, however following it is the only part I'm not so keen on. After the sheriff of the town is killed, the Doctor makes the gunslinger the new sheriff. I thought this was a little much, but it's only a small problem. Number 1. The Name of the Doctor. This is the final episode for Series 7 and it's pretty good, still not amazing though. It starts with Madame Vastra, Jenny, Strax, Clara and River in this dream where they are discussing how the Doctor will soon go to his grave, Trenzalore. The Paternoster gang get captured by the Whisper Men while they're dreaming, so Clara informs the Doctor. When he arrives, he finds his grave is actually the dying TARDIS and the Great Intelligence is inside waiting. I like how all he wants is revenge on the Doctor after everything he did to him, so he steps into the Doctor's timeline, killing him but also slowly killing the Doctor. Clara figures out that to save his life, she must also go into his timeline and fix all the things the Great Intelligence changed. I thought this was a really good concept, but it was the big start of Clara becoming the most important person ever. The cliffhanger at the end where the War Doctor is revealed is also really well done and sets up Day of the Doctor really well. This is a great finale, but it still isn't perfect. Well, there we have it. That was my ranking for the Series 7 episodes. This was not a great series and, in my opinion, definitely the worst in Matt Smith's era. I'd love to know how you would rank the episodes in this series, so please tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.